At the start of October 2024, I decided I wanted to make a small horror game for Halloween. I figured I'd have the game done in roughly 20 days, giving me plenty of time to release it before the 31st. I don't know why I thought I could do that. I've made plenty of games before this one, and it always takes me much longer than I assume it will. Now, to be fair, the idea for the game was pretty simple. You're trapped in a house, you have to solve puzzles to escape, all while a big scary guy tries to kill you. Basically just a Granny ripoff. However, that meant I'd be doing stuff I've never done before, like making items, enemy AI, and 3D modeling. Yes, that means this game would be 3D, which I've never really done. Almost all my games before this were 2D. Why did I think I could do all of this in less than a month? Oh, you're back. I thought I would have more time. Sorry, let me just... Okay, where were we? Right, the game. I started off with making what I like to call the interaction system. An easy way for the player to click on something and have it do a thing. But I wanted to make sure you could interact with the same script and have something different happen depending on what you're interacting with. If you don't know how Unity works, you have scripts, the things that hold code, and you have game objects. They're actual objects in the level. So if I have a script that opens a door when you click on it, I can put that script on a game object. And boom, now we have a door. But I can't really reuse that same script for something like picking up an item. I would have to make a whole new script. Luckily, I found Unity events. So the way it works is you have a script call an event, and you set what the event does on the individual objects with the script. So hypothetically, I could make it to where when you click a chair, it disappears, but clicking on a clock would play some kind of animation, all using the same script. It's very versatile. By the way, this is a big oversimplification of what I did and how this stuff works. It was so long ago, I don't really remember a lot. Next, I worked on the items. Thankfully, Brackeys had a very useful tutorial for this, so it wasn't that hard. The part that wasn't in the tutorial was dropping items the way I wanted it. Again, we're making a Granny ripoff, so I wanted the player to physically drop the items, just like in Granny. The part I was getting stuck on was spawning the same object, but with a different model. Having the knowledge I have now, this seems really easy, but at the time I wasn't sure how to do it. So I took the easy route and made all of the items 2D sprites instead of 3D models. This meant I wouldn't have to model as much stuff, and it let me have the player drop the same game object no matter what item you're holding. All I had to do was change the sprite on the game object. I actually had a lot of fun making these systems. I've never really done anything like that before. But then I had to make the house. I designed the map in pixel art, the drawing program I used at the time. It didn't take very long, but this wouldn't be the last time I had to draw the layout of the house. At the time, it was done though, so I started making the house in Unity. And for this process, I used ProBuilder. ProBuilder is basically a way to do 3D modeling in Unity. It's mostly for putting together simple levels, and I was pretty familiar with it already. I know I said I hadn't really done 3D before, but the game I made before this one was 3D. I also used ProBuilder for that, so I kinda knew what I was doing already. Putting the house together was pretty simple. It's basically what I imagine making a house in The Sims is, so it didn't take very long. With the basic framing of the house done, I was on to making the furniture. Now you might think I'd use Blender for this, like how a smart person would. I just used ProBuilder. I don't think it's really meant for that. I guess I was too scared to learn Blender. Don't be me, Blender is so much better and it doesn't take long to learn at all. The furniture still turned out okay. It's all very boxy. I just justified it by telling myself it's part of the art style or whatever. After making a lot of furniture and a lot of textures, the house was coming together. By this point, I was way past October. I'm pretty sure it was the middle of December. So the dream of releasing this for Halloween was gone. I just wanted to finish it, and I was about to. All I needed to do was make the evil guy. I'm cutting out a lot of the development, by the way, mostly just because I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but there was a lot more to do besides just making the house and furniture. Not to mention animations, scripting, making sure the player movement and lighting was good. Anyway, The idea I had was an evil butcher that kidnapped and killed children. Completely new concept for horror, I know. So you'd play as a kid trying to escape the butcher's house. You have no weapons, but you can hide under tables and in wardrobes. He'd wander around the house looking for you. Once he found you, he'd chase you. If you hid while out of his line of sight, he wouldn't know where you were and start wandering the house again. If you do hide while he can see you, or if he catches you... Again, very generic horror. But as for the model, it's pretty bad. I also made this in Pro Builder. Again, I should have just learned Blender. Trying to take a shortcut like this only wasted time in the long run. But after following a tutorial for getting his AI set up, the game was done and I could finally release it. I called it the Meat Man. I had my girlfriend and a friend play it just as a final test to make sure it was ready, but that's when it hit me. The game wasn't very good. It wasn't scary, the butcher wasn't fun, he was just annoying. And I kinda knew this throughout the whole project, I just really wanted to be done with it. So even though I was ready to launch, I scrapped the whole butcher mechanic. It could have worked with more tweaking, but I decided to just get rid of him. Get out of here! Scram! The Meat Man was gone, and in came Ghost House. I redesigned the house, then made it a little more linear. I removed the hiding mechanic and introduced the ghost. The ghosts are completely black entities with bright white eyes. I'm actually realizing now I didn't ever think of a good name for these guys. I just called them ghosts, which is fitting, but still. Unlike the butcher, you actually have a weapon for these guys, a camera. The ghosts will slowly walk to you, and when they're close enough, they attack. But before that, they open their eyes, giving you a small opportunity to attack them. When their eyes are open, you need to use the camera's flash. This will stun them and do damage to the ghost. If the ghost loses all of their health, they sink back into the floor. The ghosts were a big part of this redesign. I changed more than that, of course. I added some new puzzles, I got rid of some other ones that I didn't think fit. I added a basement, mint. It's a horror game, it needs a basement. And the basement was special. It only had one enemy that you couldn't flash, and it would always move to your position unless you were standing in light. If the enemy does attack you, it sends you back to the start of the basement. So you have to navigate through it, trying to stay in the light and making sure not to get caught. I really liked this idea, but the execution wasn't great. I'd love to try something like this in a future game though. But with the basement done, and more tweaking to the puzzles and the house, and after placing some ghosts around, the game was almost done. Again. I was a lot happier with this version. I definitely didn't think it was perfect, but I liked it, and I knew I could just keep working on it forever. I had to release it at some point. So on May 23rd, 2025, I published Ghost House. And you can play it for free right now. But wait, I thought you said it took over a year to make, I hear you saying. I don't really know how I can hear you saying that. It's kind of, Anyway, yeah, we're not done yet. I started another project, another horror game about cleaning your apartment. Definitely not another stolen idea. Don't look into horror games about cleaning. This game is also 3D, but I allowed myself to use stuff from the Unity Asset Store. Normally I like to do everything myself, but this time was different. And oh my gosh, it looked so good. I used Unity's HDRP and post-processing for the first time. I had never really tried to make a game look realistic before, but it was actually surprisingly easy. I kind of felt like I was cheating. Just by moving a slider, the game looked completely different. Then I started to get this thought. What if I went back and made Ghost House better? Not just the graphics, but the puzzles and the enemies. I've had this thought for a while. I knew it could be better, I just wasn't sure how. But now I knew how to do post-processing. I'm basically an expert at this point. So I completely scrapped the cleaning game, and I went forward with my most ambitious idea yet, redoing every model in Blender myself, making the game twice as long, and releasing it on Steam. The original Ghost House was my best game so far, and I've only used itch to publish my games at this point, so committing to publishing to Steam was a big thing for me. I started this updated version by changing some textures, mainly the walls and floors. I started by doubling the size of the image from 16 pixels to 32 and implemented normal maps. I used them for the first time in the cleaning game and quickly fell in love when using them for Ghost House. It's like night and day. After that, I tried modeling a very simple drawer. It took a few tries to get something I liked, but it was a very good start. And honestly, I feel like if I struggled with something that I consider to be a very simple model, I probably would have just given up on the whole project. So I'm very lucky I didn't do that. And started playing with post-processing. I was messing around with different lighting and fog and bloom and vignettes. I wasn't really sure what I was messing around with, but it made the game look cool, so... I also had to redesign the house for the 4th time? That house has gone through so much. I think the best example of how different the house looks now is the kitchen. What a glow up. The basement especially. I completely got rid of that whole having to stand in the light thing and changed it to a shadow puzzle. You have to push the statues into the right place to get the icons on the wall, heavily inspired by Resident Evil 7's shadow puzzles. Okay, we gotta talk about something I haven't mentioned yet, which is how much I love Resident Evil. The Resident Evil 1 remake is probably my favorite game of all time, so it's pretty unfair to say that Granny was the main inspiration, when I owe a lot of it to Resident Evil and also Nun Massacre. That old house aesthetic is definitely something I pulled from Resident Evil 7. Even trying to make the ambience, I was using that game as inspiration. Anyway, enough talking about games I stole from. Back to my superior game. Remember how I said I was going to redo every model? I did a lot of modeling. Again, most of them are very simple, pretty much just boxes with different holes or extruding faces. Someone with any modeling experience could easily recreate them and probably make them look better. But for it being my first time, I was very proud of my progress. And some of them were still a bit of a struggle. The enemies also got a small redesign. On top of doubling their sprite size, like with every other sprite, I removed their outline too. It really helps blend them into the environment and make them harder to see, which I wanted to make the game a little more spooky. Another aspect of making this game I'd never really done before was sound design. There are a few sounds I used from packs I bought, like wind and raining sounds, but stuff like items falling on the floor or objects moving around, I just recorded myself with stuff around my room. And I used what everyone uses to record, my closet! Yay! Again, I still like to do everything myself. Okay, maybe not everything, most things. Another section I added was this small room with broken stairs, so the only way out is to pull this lever, which opens a hidden door. However, when you try to pull it, the lever gets stuck, so you need to wait for the lever to go back up before you can pull it again. But there's a twist. You have to do all that while avoiding this fucker. No matter how many times you flash him, he won't sink back into the floor. All you can do is stun him. After I finished that section, that was pretty much it. Okay, I wasn't completely done, and there's probably more I could talk about. I could talk about the new puzzles I added, the save system, or the secret underground lab that has the boss fight in it, but I think I'll leave that for you to discover when you play the game. You are gonna play the game, right? It's on Steam right now. For a warning, the Steam version isn't free, but it is only $1 USD. Of course, if you don't want to buy it, the free version is still up on itch. I'll put both the links in the description. Hey, hi. I come from the future to bring you news. Ghost House has recently gotten an update, giving it achievements, difficulty options, other things, and it's a part of the Steam Summer Sale, so until July 9th it is 51% off. I don't know why it's 51, I put 50, I assume it's just some rounding thing. It's cheap now. Okay, back to the 30 seconds left of the video. If you made it this far into the video, thank you, I hope you enjoyed, and it really helps a lot even if you don't plan on buying Ghost House. I'm sure I'll be making more stuff in the future. I'm not sure if I'll make any more videos, but if people want to see what I'm up to, I might as well. Okay, bye bye.